Bartenders overheard it. What was the weirdest, craziest thing you have overheard while making someone's drink? Regular of mine who I hadn't seen in a while was sitting at the bar when I came in for a shift change. I came in the back way and noticed he had crutches leaning against the bar. Recently in the news someone hadn't had their shotgun properly secured in their truck and it went off. So I jokingly say, "You're that f***ing idiot who blew off his leg, aren't you?" The whole bar gets quiet and everyone is mean mugging me. My regular starts laughing. Yeah. It was him. I had no idea. I didn't apologize. Because as his favorite asshole bartender those comments were expected of me. Poor guy was only 20 couple and blew his leg off close to the hip. No idea how he survived. The first restaurant bar I worked in I was only serving but I frequently was in the section right next to the bar. One day I was busy serving a large group. But the restaurant was mostly empty and a guy behind me at the bar said, "You wanna pet my parrot?" My initial reaction was the same as if a stranger had just come up behind me and touched my shoulders, but when I turned around, it really was a guy with a parrot on his shoulder. I was tending bar during an extremely busy happy hour. The place was mobbed and super noisy. Suddenly, a guy sitting at the bar stands up and announces, "Ladies and gentlemen of the bar, I represent the Acme Meat Company and we carry a full line of high quality." Full stop. The entire bar goes silent while he continues to do his sales pitch at full volume. For some reason he decided that this was a great time and place to hustle up some business. My manager sprinted over to him and told him knock it off and that kind of thing wasn't allowed in here. So he sat down and resumed drinking. I had to reread this twice because I couldn't believe the guy didn't drop his pants. An Iranian girl was on holiday with her brother and sister. The family came in for burgers. We're known for burgers and a good time. While waiting she got a little tipsy and the beer must have bloated her because while eating the burger she started dirty talking it. "I'm going to take you upstairs and show you a good time. Let's go to bed so I can finish you off. You're going to make me feel so good tonight." She was an absolute treat of person and one of my favorite customers. A married couple in their 50s arguing how they were going to explain the fact they couldn't pay the remainder of the €3 million bill for a Ferris wheel they'd ordered 18 months ago. Already put $1 million deposit on. And whose collection was due at 8 AM the following morning. Customer speaking to his friend. "Mate, I can't believe you couldn't get it up for her. I mean, I would have just FK'd the bitch soft and use a shoehorn or something." Me. "That'll be you a cute 9. From a woman to her friend. "I don't know about you but I just can't poop in a pink bathroom." I once had to ask a woman to remove her infant from the bar top. She put them on the floor. I really don't miss bartending. Ugh, people bringing in kids. I worked at the dirtiest punk rock bar imaginable for a bit years ago. We did some trade in food. Mostly vegan stuff. One brunch this dude comes in with 2 young kids. And sits down to order brunch. We tried to warn him away. But he was adamant on staying. He complained when FCK The Pain Away by Peaches came on the jukebox. Like. "I'm here with my kids. This is inappropriate." Yes. It is inappropriate. Where do you think you are right now? Someone was boasting about his very small penis. Very tiny. Like micro. Man and woman is sitting at the bar. She starts crying and says, "I just want us to have something special." The guy looked her dead in the eyes and said, "We do have something special. We have sex. We are both married." 10 minutes later they are making out and she's rubbing his dick over his pants. I love slow Wednesdays. One of the guys at the bar recognized me. Somehow. He said he knew my mother. And dropped her name. Somehow. He apparently met her at a BDSM club. Somehow. I knew a guy that was an amazing bartender. He'd get random BS drink names all the time and he'd make them perfectly. "Can I get a SI mosquito?" "Sure." "What color?" "Pink." "I can do pink." Combines random shitty. "Here you go. It's good." "Yo, I know." Just like last time. It was always hilarious. St. Patrick's Day. So the bar was crowded. Most people are pretty lively. But one middle-aged guy sitting at the bar looks miserable. Just staring at his beer in silence for maybe an hour. Slowly sipping. I've already been watching him because he seemed out of place. But I wasn't working that area. At this point, he's 3/4 of the way done with his beer. And he abruptly stands up. And walks to the back of the bar toward the hallway with the bathrooms in the kitchen. I watch as he walks past the bathrooms. And straight to the back door. Labeled emergency exit only. With zero hesitation. He pushes through the door. Luckily not alarmed. At this point I followed after him to see where he was going. As soon as he gets outside, he rips off the flannel shirt he was wearing and tosses it into the dumpster. Turning around in just his white tank top undershirt. He sees me and just says I was wearing too many shirts. He walked right back inside. Finished his beer just as silently as before. And then left. Was tending bar at my local pub. Loads of old boys used to come in and get properly razzled. One day, I am polishing glasses and they'd been day drinking and it was around 7 PM. I hear this almighty crash and turn around. One of them has fallen off their bar stool. Total silence. Then one guy just loudly declares, "Didn't spill a drop." The whole pub erupts with laughter. Guy who fell off still stands up. Tips his hat. And went home. His toe was in my ass. Red Foreman has entered the chat. Lots of genitalia talk at the one bar I worked at that was more men networking doing business drinks. The weirdest was these two guys who sat at the bar instead of a table and tried to kick me out by asking if I can leave the bar area because they want to have a private conversation. How about no? I'm polishing glasses for the evening rush for a convention and I'm not standing in the middle of the f-king room. I said I'll go stand at the far end of my bar and polish there. Man 1. Her CCH has a rank smell. Tried all kinds of creams and stuff. She's going to the doctor. Man 2. That's fine. Reason not to eat it. Man 1. I still FCK it. At least whatever yeast happening there makes it slippery. I just have to shower or smell like rotting fish. Man 2. That's f-king gross dude. Man 1. FCK you dude. I wonder what it is. I wanted to say it's probably trichomoniasis but also horrified that he was still having sex with her and probably contributing to making it even worse and causing some BV issues. That poor woman. Bartending at a strip club. I'd have guys ask me to get them girls every other night. Like, here's $200. Which one of these dancers will FCK me? None. None. Dude. Semicolon. Semicolon. Allison totally would. But I'm not telling anyone. Had a customer complain that we ruined their new $100 pair of pants by getting bleach on them. We do add bleach to our sanitizer since the beginning of the pandemic. But it's like a 1:1,000 ratio. She continually called and emailed about how she already ordered a new pair and we will reimburse her. She showed up a couple days later with the pants that she hadn't even washed yet because she didn't want to make it worse. Our sweet as hell day bartender noticed it was not the usual color of bleached jeans. Grabbed a pen. Scraped at the spot. And whatever little bit of sauce she had dropped on the pants that day chipped away. She left with the pants and we haven't seen her since. Favorite outcome to a wild situation. Edit. For clarity. Bartending on a slow night like 15 years ago. These two guys. One a regular. Talking about the past and keeping their voices low. The regular says how he shot some guy on his street in like the 70s and just came back in the house and hid the gun in his recliner. Said when the cops were going door to door asking questions he just said he didn't know or hear anything. I was always hearing crazy shtick cause I just kept to myself unless a customer was looking to talk. And like a previous bartender stated, we hear it all. Yes, we do know all about the drugs. I always wondered if that victim died in that incident. But just a few short years after I overheard that convo, the regular died a painful death. Maybe deserved. One lady got too drunk off Cosmos and kept asking her partner if she could peg him. I've worked in bars for years, but I'll never forget the terrified expression on his face when she asked. 30-something girl telling a 50-something dude that she'll blow him for a beer. Hey. Some women do that for free. This entrepreneur was up a beer. So who's the real blower? I mean sucker. I witnessed a complete relationship between two women over the course of one night. They met early in the night. They were clearly into each other. Very flirty. They danced and drank the night way. They started making out and then disappeared for some time. Next time I saw them, they were at each other's throats. No clue what happened, but it ended with one saying, "I never want to see you again," then stormed out of the bar. After that night I never saw either of them again. They just speedrun the entire relationship. I occasionally work as a casino bartender and we will sometimes host the Marine Corps ball. They get rowdy and have a good time. But it's at the very end that you start seeing grown men cry. They start talking about their experiences during service with each other. The worst stories I ever overheard were from vets who served during the Vietnam War. It must have been terrible. Wait, do I take the roofie or does she take the roofie? FFS. Please tell me you told him to take it. Guy by himself. Should I make it a double? Same guy by himself. Yeah, I think you should. Too many to count. AMD. I've only been at it like 3-5 years. I've seen We Should See Other People converse. Awkward Tinder meetups. Regulars who come in with a different girl every time. A regular whose wife I know. Come and W someone else. Another regular come in looking at her husband, who was with someone else earlier that day. I got a couple now that I adore. But she is always wearing a very fancy but obvious submissive collar. I lost count of how many men my dad's age and up will ask me for my number. My most awkward to this day though was a couple who literally followed me from one bar to the next when I changed jobs, and then asked me to watch their dog for a sec while they went outside. Turns out they were breaking up after 10 years together. I still saw them each after them but never on the same day. Like they decided ahead of time who got me when. Too many to count really. Most of them involving cocaine. Or wanting to perform sexual acts in the car park for cocaine. I do have a wholesome-ish one however. I was serving one night and two girls came in. Both laughing and enjoying their night. Both girls came up to the bar. And as I went to serve them, one of the girls said, "He's hot. I fancy him." I laugh and have a joke about it. And serve them. Anyway. Turns out the girl who complimented me is my colleague's sister. And the girl had said to the sister, "Why didn't you tell me about him?" Roll forward a few years. We are now engaged. Have a baby together and are saving for a mortgage. Funny how life works really. The craziest was when a man ordered a filet well done and refused to have it butterflied. That's like a 30-minute cook time. He ate it with ketchup. The second was two older guys celebrating one of them getting out of jail. Over the course of the night I learned that he was arrested for DUI when he was parked beside train tracks. The other guy asked what he did with the crack rocks that he shoved in his ass. Didn't get to hear the answer. And that he was lucky he hadn't been caught hauling the gas cans to his business partner's house. I worked in an open kitchen. A friend came in with a new girl and sat right in front of the line. They're having such a nice time. So happy for them. About halfway through their second bottle of wine, his date's loose-fitting shoulder shruggy type shirt falls a little too down and her bare titty is fully out. He doesn't even notice, sitting close on the same side of the booth. It's hilarious but like, oh snap. I get the server to go talk to them and let her know. Pretty awesome. Same server also saved a man's life after realizing he was choking to death. He left the restaurant cause he was embarrassed he was choking. She followed him and got him as he was collapsing outside. Lil 1-2 Heimlich and she popped it out. She is still my very good friend and a total F-King legend. He left the restaurant cause he was embarrassed he was choking. She followed him and got him as he was collapsing outside. Lil 1-2 Heimlich and she popped it out. LPT. If you're choking, don't worry about being embarrassed. That's awesome that the server noticed. Former bartender. Super busy Saturday night. Packed bar and a really great fun crowd. This one guy was hitting on this girl relentlessly all night and she was obviously playing with him. They're shooting pool and he's making comments about how bad he wants to FCK her. I guess she'd had enough. Because the next thing I hear is if you want me so bad, FCK me right now. This has my complete attention now. I stop what I'm doing behind the bar and am just watching at this point. He turns her around, lifts up her skirt, pulls out his cock, and is bending her over the pool table. F-king her. I couldn't believe it. She couldn't believe it. This lasted maybe 15-20 seconds and I'm in shock. By the time I get from behind the bar over there to kick them out, they're on their way out. Leaving together. Nothing I've seen or heard of has topped that one. I love my wife. I love my kids and I will never leave them. But I will FCK you. A guy asked me to drug a girl's drink for him. I told him I would do it. Took the drugs from him. Called the cops and gave the cops the drugs when they got there. Edit. Thank you everyone for the awards and upvotes. I will be stopping replies though because I worked a 12-hour shift last night and I'm going to sleep. Have a great day everyone. One day I had a guy that had just won a bunch of money on a horse race. Like to the tune of $10. 00000. He was sober on arrival-ish. But kept ordering bottles of red wine, expensive pinot if I remember right. Anyway. He seemed fine until all of a sudden I was making a drink and I heard him talking to this couple at the bar. Paraphrasing. Guy starts sobbing, I'm an alcoholic. Nobody loves me. And aside from money I've got nothing. My life is shitty. And I just want someone to hold me. Woman. Punches his shoulder AWW. I'm very sorry to hear that. You remind me so much of my son. Maybe you've had enough wine? Guy. Face changes to weird Joker smile, haha. Acting. You never suspected a thing. Woman. Oh, you got me really good there. Forces a sad but caring face. Semicolon. Anyway. Guy wished faced. We had to have him escorted out shortly after all that. That convo was one I'll never forget. Dude was full on crying, sobbing for at least 3-5 minutes before pretending it was all an act. Had a guy start snapping his girlfriend's little finger because she made a comment that embarrassed him. He did it whilst looking my co-worker in the eye and continuing to chat cheerfully. My co-worker didn't notice. But I did and gave the signal to the doorman. The doorman, being 6'6", proceeded to come over and ask the guy to leave. The guy physically resisted and I saw something that forever changed my understanding of how gravity, wooden floorboards and human bodies interact. The saddest part was the girlfriend following after. Even though her little finger was visibly swollen. Since your question seemed concerned with the auditory. The smothered squeak the girlfriend made. The slap his body made as it bounced, literally bounced, off the floorboards, and the way the girlfriend called her abuser's name as she followed after. Stand out in memory. Edit. Where I'm from. If someone were to say he snapped his leg, it would mean the person broke their leg. This appears not to be universal though. So I'll clarify. I mean the man was bending her finger at an unnatural angle until it was at the point of breaking. I just started at a new place a month or so ago and have already had a few weird moments. We have one regular who brings in prostitutes multiple times a week. He's cool though and will toss me a $10 or $20 even if I'm not serving him. My first day on the floor here, not training though, I had a couple come in. They seemed normal but midway through their meal things felt tense. While doing my rounds of probussing my tables, I walked past and heard the girl say, just because I was dressed like someone else doesn't mean you can call me their name, and the guy replied, that's the whole point of role playing, you're acting like someone else. Safe to say I skipped their table when picking up plates. I guess they must have broke up because when I came back out the girl was gone and he had asked me for the check. I overheard a woman who worked in the ER explaining to her date about a time that she helped a couple who had been having sex. And his dick literally fractured inside her. It's a real thing. And let me tell you that story was rough. Edit. It started off as PSSY but now it's love. I heard an 80-year-old woman confide in her friend that she did kill her husband 20 years ago. When I bartended 25 years ago, had a regular who was a transvestite in his 60s. Very kind. Would come in. Order a glass of rose and be content. Had a group other regulars. Retired guys that thought they were God's gifts to all women. Drink the wars. Brag about their boats and their sword conquests. Only occasionally would they be at the bar at the same time. When they were, the group of guys would make snarky comments to themselves about her. One day they were feeling especially pickled and asshole-ish and the comments questions were directly at her and within her space. I wasn't really too concerned because I learned through convos with her that she was once a Golden Gloves boxer, and if the idiots had paid attention and looked at her hands they'd see they were friggin' cinder blocks. One got too close and too obnoxious and boom. Clocked him. Straight down. She went back to her rose. He got helped up by the rest of his group. Guys never bothered her again.